You've got your business strategy set with your plans for marketing, sales, and kindness. That might sound a little out of place until you hear that a happy workplace is a profitable workplace. We talk a lot about business strategy, but it's safe to say we've never talked about just being kind as a strategy. Welcome to Expert Connections. I'm Julie Holton. How often do you wish that there was just a little bit more kindness in the world? Turns out it's actually pretty profitable too. We put together a panel of experts for a special segment today. Joining us is John Mashney, an attorney at Foster Swift, Michelle Hutchison, a licensed therapist and founder of the Meta Center, and Shari Pash of Strategic Solutions for Growth. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Julie. We're all really excited to be with you on this topic today.
I'm excited for this topic too. This is a little outside of our normal purview, kindness as a business strategy. You don't often hear that, but hang with us because we're talking about empathy toward employees or clients, and this is a hot topic. Michelle, let's set the scene. Why does kindness matter, especially right now?
Julie, that's such an important question because we're talking about creating cultures within the work environment, whether it's the culture as a whole or within our leadership and how we lead and guide our employees. When we really dig into a culture of kindness and servant leadership, we understand that it brings maximum output from our employees because of the impact on the brain, the human brain.
We'd like to think that all leaders really have that empathy and really care about their employees. But I also bet that you just, hit the bell on that word there of that output and that production. And I think that that's really important too. A happy workplace is also a profitable one. But if we're going to talk kindness, Michelle, we should also talk about burnout. What is happening right now within our workforce? Burnout has become just such a big word.
Yes, burnout is coming because of the pandemic, post-pandemic, and we're actually still in the middle of it, right? So our brains are releasing cortisol, our stress hormone that's bringing more and more tension to the workplace environment. And people are then experiencing stress at home. They're also experiencing it within the workplace. And we also know the structural makeup of our leadership brains. This can sound controversial, but it's true. When we look for that more decisive leadership brain, we're also losing some empathetic regions of the brain area if there's not good balance there. And all of that impacts our employees and the culture of our work environments. And right now in society, we're seeing this clash of our employees saying money doesn't keep us any longer because we can't handle the load of stress. And then we're also seeing new employees coming into the field who don't have the development or the cognitive skill set to manage the capacity for which we're asking them to manage. And so it's really important that we start to look at the culture of our workplace so that we can create an environment that people want to be, and we can sustain, we can maintain employees, we can build healthy citizens, and we can have successful work environments.
Michelle, one quick question before we move on here. You really just hit on this, talking about the mental health of our employees. Do businesses have a responsibility right now to take care of their employees and their mental health?
We do, yes. We have a huge responsibility because if we want to be sustainable as a business and as a workforce, we've got to start to build up the capacity of our employees to handle life situations, to handle relationships within the work environment, and to understand that many are coming into the work environment under high levels of stress, which is impacting brain development. And so again, it's our responsibility now to grow up and support people and to look at the culture of our environment, creating cultures of forgiveness, creating cultures of kindness and relationship, creating culture of similarity and generosity, and creating cultures that bring psychological safety.
Culture here, really the important part of this. Creating a system that's sustainable. And John, we're not just talking about the easy wins either, like the pizza parties on Fridays or the team building activities. Those are all great. But how do we take on the hard tasks, like terminating a contract with another company or terminating an employee? How do we take on these hard tasks and still be kind?
Well, I think that's the key question, right? It's easy for someone to think, oh, it's kindness is a great idea and concept, but it doesn't really work in the real world, right? You have to do a lot of hard things. And my experience before I went to law school, I ran a media department, and I remember having to hire people, but also fire people, and it was very, very challenging emotionally to do that. And I got some great advice from a mentor of mine, and he said, "You treat people like people, right? Sometimes you have to have a hard conversation, but that doesn't mean that you treat them like an object and then they're gone. You treat someone like a person. You think about, this is a regular person just like me, and we have to do something that may be difficult, but we don't have to treat them like someone who is not, valuable, right? And it's being candid, right? Being kind even when you have to confront some reality that maybe neither of you like very much. It doesn't have to be a difficult, or it doesn't have to be painful, and you certainly don't have to treat people like anything less than what a person should deserve.
Shari, kindness is the cornerstone to sales, empathy. Why does this matter?
Julie, our customers and our clients and members, they have many choices on who they want to work with, right? So your care, your empathy, and your kindness can often set you apart from your competition if you look at just the business side of this. But again, empathy and kindness are really key during objections and challenges. When you're in the sales process, one of the things we've trained on for years, the first step when you have an objection or a challenge is showing empathy. That's so critical. And isn't it more fun to work with kindness and care throughout the year with your clients and customers? And it really comes back to the foundation, moving from sales transactions into relational sales. Relational sales is done through caring, through kindness, and through empathy. And if you want a strong, successful sales program, put empathy and kindness at the start.
Absolutely. Shari, we've got a kind of running joke, but it's true at our company that we don't work with jerks. And sometimes we use some other choice words there, but the reality is I'm not going to let my team, be subject to, unnecessary, meanness if we're talking about kindness. And I think that that's really important. A lot of people would rather be happy with who they're working with, whether it's externally, like you're talking about in sales, or as John was talking about internally with our own teams. Now, John, it may not quite qualify as legal guidance, but what's one way you try to have empathy personally as you're dealing in your professional life?
Well, I think it's managing all aspects of a relationship, right? Certainly at the beginning of a relationship, everything is usually rosy. Otherwise, you're not going to enter into a relationship, right? You're excited about it. But even in the middle, I oftentimes say, no relationship really starts until somebody makes a mistake. And then what happens? How do you react? Are you done immediately? Do you just leave? In most cases, I think you're going to never really going to have a good relationship, period, if a single mistake causes you to be unkind or to sever, what could be a very good relationship going down the line. And even at the end of a relationship, sometimes things just don't work out. It doesn't mean that everybody has to leave angry. You can still treat people like people, as my old mentor used to say, and still be kind and maybe even be generous at the end of a relationship, rather than trying to take territory and just treat it as kind of some selfish game to see how much you can get up until the very end.
Yeah, John, what you're talking about is the relational versus transactional. And sometimes it can be so easy for us to get caught up in the transactions that we're doing instead of building those relationships. Now, I know when we were all talking before the show, the word genuine kept coming up from each one of you. Does it make a difference, Shari, when we genuinely care versus trying to express that we care, even if the feelings aren't quite there? Let's elaborate on that word, genuine, Shari.
Yeah, it's got to be authentic, genuine, caring, correct? People know the difference. They really do. So we've got to look at if what we're looking to do is create relationship with our clients, we have to care. And, if you find that you may not generally care about your clients, it might mean you have the wrong clients, or you may be in the wrong field. And I don't want to sound harsh, Julie, but in sales, you have to be passionate about your product or service and equally passionate about your clients and bringing them solutions. If you really don't have that genuine caring and concern for your clients and for your coworkers and the whole team you're with, then it is time to look at that. But I think all of us have that. It's how do we do it? And we have to use our contact management systems. People call them CRMs. We have to take relationship notes on our clients and customers on the things we genuinely care about. So we're not treating them like a new client each time we talk to them, or anyone else in your organization that might pick the phone up and talk to a client or customer needs to know those same relationship points. And that's how we genuinely care about the people we do business with.
Absolutely. How great does it feel when you get that handwritten card in the mail because someone remembered that it's your birthday, or they remembered something about something personal happening in your life? I had a contact once who would send me, newspaper clippings of things that he thought I would be interested in. And it's just those special touches. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to take a lot of time or money, but just to show that you are authentic and caring and in keeping track of that relationship. Michelle, one final question. And this is a tough one, but we've got a minute here left. What are some of the first steps that business leaders can take to really start to work kindness into their culture in the office?
Yes, Julie, it's just really important that we start to see our employees, from multiple perspectives, from body, soul, and spirit, because we're made up of multiple parts. And when we understand the brain, when we understand brain chemicals, when we understand the temperament of our employees, and then we start to approach our work culture from multiple perspectives, we develop the whole employee. So remembering that we build a culture within our agencies and business that releases dopamine, that releases serotonin, that releases oxytocin, that builds connection and similarity and ritual and focus, and that looks at the ultimate well-being of our employees, not just in speak, but in action, then we get whole, healthy employees, productive output, and we're impacting our community.
And John, you actually wrote a blog on that very topic, talking about these chemicals being released in the brain. One final question for you. How do you see this in action in the workplace?
Well, I think the way I see it is there's a biological basis for how people feel. And when you're generous as a leader and you serve people, you can make them physically, biologically change in a way that makes them happier.
Absolutely. John, Michelle, Shari, thank you so much for joining us today. This was really insightful. And thank you for stepping outside the box to talk about kindness. I know it's not a typical part of the strategy, but the more we talked about it, the more we knew we just had to do this on the show today. So thank you so much for joining us. To hear more from our experts, head to our website, expertconnections.tv, and click Legal and Sales Connections. You can also find us on YouTube. Check us out and be sure to subscribe.